You're watching Pyramidical.
John Razimus here. In this episode of Pyramidical, I'm going to talk about Back to the Future Part 2. Very few people can see tiny details, I have noticed. So even though there's a million, billion, trillion Back to the Future videos, and probably thousands upon hundreds of thousands of Back to the Future Part 2 videos, I seriously doubt there are any, if many, that mention exactly what I'm going to mention. October 21st, 2015. I'm just going to talk about a few scenes in this movie. There are predictions that came true, or at least pretty close. 1 year off. 2016 instead of 2015. That's pretty close. While there are some obvious over-the-top examples of predictions that were outlandish for comedy purposes, one of the best sci-fi comedies ever made, but we do not have anti-gravity, any type of hover technology, and that's pretty obvious. There's a skyway. Flying cars obviously do not exist. Let's try to see if there are a few hidden things that this movie predicted correctly. As the DeLorean touches down in the middle of this alley, there's some graffiti on the wall. It's the first graffiti we see in the movie, yet I've never heard anyone talk about it. Here's Marty McFly in front of the graffiti. It's covered up a little bit. We can't really see what it says. Here is a prediction that came true, but this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a self-fulfilling prediction, so it doesn't really count. Although you could say it does sort of count. The self-lacing Nike Mag shoes. Mag is short for magnetic. These Nike Mag shoes in the movie supposedly have magnets in them which allow hoverboarders to attach to the hoverboards without using any straps. These shoes are specifically designed in the lore to magnetically attach to the hoverboard. That's why it's called the Nike Mag. But Tinker Hatfield, I would say he is a little shady in the context of promising everyone worldwide that there would be a major release for the self-lacing shoes. And not only did he fail to release them in 2015, but he released them in 2016. So that's 1 year off. That's not too far off. Not a wide public release. This character, Marty McFly, wouldn't be able to wear them unless Doc Brown cheated and rigged the system and won the contest. I suppose it would be extremely rare, but this goes into the theoretical realm of Marty McFly winning a $50,000 pair of shoes and walking around in them. Very unlikely. It's too bad only D-bags and millionaires are able to wear these shoes. And it's too bad Tinker Hatfield is a liar. But let's continue with what came true and what didn't come true. Stupid things like nobody wears their jeans inside out with the pockets hanging out. But here's another view of this graffiti. And it says Class of 16, referring to Class of 2016. So I thought that's interesting. It's the first reference of the year 2016. And so far, the predictions I've run through, one of them came true in 2016. The self-lacing Nike Mag. And there are some dumb things you can notice, like here's the garbage right next to Jennifer Parker, I believe her name is. gigantic record-sized, even bigger than record-sized laser discs, because in 1989, the highest def futuristic format for movies were these giant laser discs, the size of a vinyl record. It was a trend, a fad. It did not last long. Very few people invested in many of these. It's pretty funny. So that is obviously a miss, but that class of 2016 is interesting. And right after we see that class of 2016 reveal, Doc Brown shows the USA Today newspaper one day in the future of this future. Instead of October 21st, 2015, the paper is from October 22nd, one day in the future. Marty takes a look at his son and he reads the future news. And let's take a closer look at the future news. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of filler because we couldn't see the details on the big screen. We could only see the headlines. But let's take a look at some details. Slam ball, for example. Slam ball playoffs begin. And I'm the only person that I know of that has ever made the connection between Griff's helmet and Griff's extendable bat are clearly slam ball paraphernalia. Griff is sporting slam ball helmet and a slam ball bat because he's a jock. He's a bully. Jocks would be sporting such things. Let's take a look at what else. Cubs sweep series in 5. Now, they predicted this would be October 21st, 2015, but as we all know, this took place Wednesday, November 2nd, 2016. So they're 1 year off. That's still pretty amazing of an accurate prediction. And it wasn't in 5 games. It was, in fact, in 7 games, Game 7. But it's still very close. Famously, Marty McFly wants to go back in the past to put some money on the Cubbies. He gets the idea from this guy. But let's take a look at a few more headlines or a few more sub-headlines. Let's see what we got here. A prediction I've never heard anyone mention, which is the reason I'm mentioning it. Back to the Future Part 2 predicted that the president in October 21st, 2015 would be a female. It says right here, President says she's tired of reporters asking the same questions. Wow, that's interesting, you know? I mean, there have been a lot of headlines of Hillary being tired, being exhausted. We have emails of her aides asking her, to take a nap, take it easy. She had pneumonia a few months back, and she needed to rest and take a break from the campaign trail because of it. And this is way off because this would be Obama's second term. But just like the other predictions, the Nike shoes, the Cubs winning the World Series, perhaps it's 1 year off. If that's the case, Back to the Future Part 2 sort of, at least the prop master who put this prop together, sort of predicted Hillary Clinton, or at least a female, becoming the future president around 2016-ish. But as you can see in the line right below that one, it couldn't be further from the truth. Might as well be a Bizarro Land parallel universe, because Queen Diana will visit Washington tomorrow and the Capitol prepares. And we all know the tragic story of Princess Diana dying in a horrific car crash. So USA Today, they did release a token version of the Back to the Future newspaper. And I believe it was $2. And the fake one is $6. So a lot of exaggerated prices, a lot of changes. Speaking of prices, here's Texaco. And you can barely see it, but the price of of gas looks to be $7.25. That's way off. Perhaps that's the price. If Hillary becomes president, perhaps the price of gas will skyrocket. Who knows? And we all know Pepsi came out with a promotional garbage, Pepsi Perfect, for 5 seconds, just like Nike did. I mean, Nike did give to a good charity, but they kind of stiffed all the fans and all the Nike fans and all the movie fans. So it's kind of cool. Pepsi came out with a tiny token release at the New York Comic Con. And you can pick one of those up for $100 or $200+. And of course, hoverboards do not exist. Any type of anti-gravity does not exist. I could go on the predictions that did not happen, but here's one that sort of happened. I mean, Doc Brown's little binocular things. I don't know if this particular exact binocular exists, but I would say the technology most definitely does exist. Tracking, face tracking. You see that in every camera today. It's pretty standard. So that's a very realistic prediction. We don't have Jaws 19, but that was just a joke from producer Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is a really cool guy. Here is another prediction that did not come true. Self-drying jacket. That's actually a very cool invention. I don't see why someone doesn't come up with it. It's probably very expensive, and definitely fans have reproduced it. I did go on the Back to the Future ride many times back in the 90s in Universal Studios Hollywood, and I have a few secrets concerning the things sold in the gift shop that I did pick up. I saw the real jacket up close, and the texture looked like a basketball. It was all rubber. It was very interesting. The entire suit is rubber, extremely uncomfortable. So here are the top predictions that did come true. Nike did release self-lacing Nike mags in 2016. The Cubs did win the World Series in 2016. The third prediction would be President says she's tired. You don't have to be a genius to figure out that's a pretty good allusion to Hillary Clinton. I hope she doesn't win personally, but I'm also not one that should be seen as having any type of great political insight. None of us know the future. Even those who do have psychic powers, in my opinion, can't see farther than 2 weeks. And even those people are using likely negative entities, give or take a few weeks, maybe a month out. On top of that, it's a possible future. Even people receiving information from entities that are outside of this dimension, even they are limited, which is why you don't see people winning the lottery over and over and over and over. As far as I know, a psychic, a medium, someone that could divine the future has never won the Powerball or the jackpot in the lottery. I'm still a fan of Back to the Future. I know a few secrets, little Easter eggs I've never heard anyone mention ever. I'm gonna mention in future episodes on this subject. I thank you for watching. This has been John Razimus with Pyramidical. Be seeing you.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe.